What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today I have a comparison video with the Adidas X CrazyFast.1 and the Nike Mercurial Vapor 15. Now I feel like these are one of the more popular models like from Adidas and from Nike. I feel like the speed boots from each brand are always the most popular and they're always the most compared models in my opinion. Now I did compare the Vapor 15 with the CrazyFast Plus, and I feel like those boots had more differences than similarities. So I feel like the CrazyFast.1 is a better comparison. So if you guys want that comparison, just go and it's in my channel. I already did a video on it. But today we're going to talk about the 0.1 model and the Vapor 15. Before we start the video, if you guys could just leave a like on the video, that would be awesome. I would really appreciate it. And also subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I have had the Vapor 15 for maybe about a year now. And I just recently got the Adidas X CrazyFast.1. I have maybe around 10 to 15 hours on these, but I feel like I have a good understanding of the boot in order for me to do the comparison video. Alright, so first we'll talk about the upper. Now both uppers are pretty thin, and in terms of thinness, like is one thinner than the other? I feel like they're about the same. I don't really think there's a huge difference in the thinness of the boot. They both feel very barefoot on the ball. They're both really thin, and they're pretty good synthetics in my opinion. The Vapor 15, I don't know if it's because it's already broken in, but I just feel like it's a bit more softer and a bit more pliable than the Adidas X CrazyFast.1. Like on feet, they just feel like really comfortable. Not that these aren't comfortable, but they just feel a bit softer on feet. The upper on the CrazyFast.1, even like broken in, they did get softer, but they still feel pretty plasticky. I don't know if you guys can hear that. How the boot like makes that noise when the upper does move. And that's because the upper is, like I said, a bit more plasticky. They did get a lot softer once broken in, but for the most part, it's pretty comfortable. It's still pretty pliable, better than the previous model in my opinion, and I feel like it's a really good improvement. Out of both these uppers, I kind of just prefer the Vapor 15. I just find it a bit more comfortable on feet. Also, there's a little bit of texture on both uppers, you guys can see here, but honestly, you don't really feel the texture really. It doesn't really add any grip. So for the most part, it's pretty slick on the ball. And I will talk about the fit, and both boots have a pretty narrow fit, and especially the Vapor does have like a narrow fit all throughout, like in the toe box and midfoot. It's pretty much narrow, but it does have a bit more volume, like I said in my previous videos, compared to other like Vapors of the past. So they're a bit more comfortable. They're not completely squeezing your foot. There is a little bit more space to wiggle your feet around. So that's why I find these the most comfortable Vapors that I have tried. But it still gives you that nice wrap sensation like a Vapor does. If you guys have medium wide feet, you might be able to fit in these. You just have to try them to see if they're not too tight. For me, I do have a bit of a wider foot, and I fit in these with no problem. They're really comfortable. In terms of the break-in period, they were pretty much good to go. I did have a little bit of pinching, but that went away once I did juggle and like just ran around with the ball. So if you do have like a medium wide foot, you might be able to fit in these, but I feel like you should try them out before you purchase them. So now the fit on the Adidas X CrazyFast. I would say that it's pretty narrow in the midfoot, but here in the toe box, it is like more wider and it does have a bit more space and more volume. I would say that here in the toe box, there is a bit more space and a bit more volume compared to like the Vapor 15, although the midfoot is pretty tight, especially because of this knitted area. This knitted area here doesn't really stretch all that much. It kind of just holds your foot in place, and it's actually kind of compressive. So for me, it doesn't really stretch, and that's why it kind of just like holds your midfoot really tightly. And so I feel like these are a bit tighter than the Vapor 15 in the midfoot. Maybe just because the Vapor 15s are, well broken in, and maybe that will change once these are really broken in. But for now, I feel like the midfoot here is a bit tighter than the Vapor 15. But the toe box does have a bit more space, and I kind of like that about this boot. Now, in terms of the sole plate, this is where we see like both of these being really unique. Now, with the Vapor 15, we do get the air zoom unit here in the forefoot. And like I've said it before, it's a really nice like cushion area. You do feel like a nice like pillow underfoot. It doesn't really give you any like energy return or like a push off. It just it's a smooth transition between like a stride or a step. It's a really unique sensation, and I really like it a lot. That's why I actually do like wearing the Vapor 15 a lot, just because of this air zoom unit. Now here the CrazyFast.1 has been the same since last year with this plastic insert, and it just provides a bit more stiffness to the sole plate. So it has more of a responsive and more of a snapback feel. So if you guys really like that, then this is a really good choice just because it's really stiff and it's nice and responsive. And there is more of a curvature. If you guys can see, the studs kind of like go up, and so you're always like kind of on your toes instead of being flat. The Vapor 15 does have a bit more of a flat compared to the Adidas X. This one has more of a raised toe, and so you just stay on your toes a bit more. If you guys like more of a responsive and snappy sole plate, then go for the Adidas X CrazyFast.1. The Vapor 15 does have a bit more of an aggressive stud pattern. It does have like these triangle studs, and so you get traction from like different sides and all directions. Like when you're pushing off, it gives a good amount of bite on the ground. So if you guys want really good traction, the Vapor 15 is a really good option. The Adidas X also has a good stud pattern as well, although the studs here are a bit smaller, but they're kind of chevron, like triangle studs, you guys can see. So they still provide a good amount of bite, but you're still able to pivot and turn a bit easier than the Vapor 15 in my opinion. Now in terms of performance, these boots perform really well. The Vapor 15 has a really good amount of lockdown in the midfoot, and when you're just cutting and turning, there is no movement at all. Like the heel is nice and locked. The midfoot, once you tie your laces tight, it's nice and locked. So I found no like issues with like movement at all. The Adidas X is also really great in terms of performance. Like when you tie your laces tight, it just pulls the upper and it hugs it really nicely. So when you're cutting around and like moving around, there is no movement inside. Even the heel liner does like help with like the lockdown in your heel. Overall, the performance is great. I found no rollover whatsoever, not even the toe box, since it is a bit more space. It was nice and secure. I didn't slip at all. So performance, I feel like they're equally the same. So if you guys are worried about performance, both of these perform really well in my opinion. So now I'll talk about like small differences. So here the Adidas X does have a bit of a thicker heel liner. You guys can see there's a bit more padding to it. So on feet, it doesn't feel overly bulky, but you do feel like there's more like material in the back compared to the Vapor 15, which for me, I don't really like that, but it does keep your heel nice and locked, so there's no movement whatsoever. Also, I did mention that the knitted material here doesn't really stretch all that much. Like I feel like it's a bit thicker and it does have more of a compressive feel, and I feel like that's just because it's basically like the laceless version, but just with laces. So they just kept that area the same. So I feel like you could probably wear these without laces. I will be testing that out and just checking, and I'll let you guys know. So overall, both boots are really good in my opinion. They perform really well. There's slight differences in the upper. Like this one's just a bit more pliable than the Adidas X CrazyFast. This one does have more of a plasticky feel on feet. But if you do like that more old school style of like synthetic uppers, then you guys are gonna love these. With the Vapor 15, it is a bit softer, and so you might find these more comfortable. So the boot that I would pick, it would be the Vapor 15. I just really enjoy the fit of these, and just they're a bit more comfortable than these like on feet in terms of the upper. So for me, I would go with the Vapor 15, and I really like that air zoom unit underfoot. But I could honestly wear the Adidas X CrazyFast.1 anytime. So that's it for today's comparison video. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like. Also subscribe. I will be doing a comparison with the CrazyFast Plus against the CrazyFast.1. So if you guys want to see that, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.